And we are back. Welcome back, everybody. We are here this time for the qualifying session ahead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And I hope you didn't hear us earlier on because apparently Yuri didn't mute us. It was on a quiet setting. Hopefully, you didn't hear the interesting conversation we had. Don't worry, don't worry. Before anybody tries to cancel us, it wasn't anything offensive. It was just something to do with toilet business. Moving on.
Let's basically give the whole
Hopefully
thing
you
away
didn't
now.
hear us. Hopefully you didn't hear us about that bit because you weren't meant to. A bit disgusting. Anyway,
Those two quotes are going to be stuck.
anyway, we're here for the qualifying session. As you can see, as we're getting underway, it's going to be dry for the entirety of qualifying. What a surprise, eh? Who would have thought it? A dry session in Abu Dhabi. Even though we've got the 1% chance of rain now, that could be a thing in Abu Dhabi, which, let's be honest, probably not going to happen like with Bahrain, but you never know. Back in 2015, I had rain for Bahrain, so who knows, really. Anyway, we're getting set for the qualifying session. Maybe.
I think lightning would have to strike me twice before we get rain here.
So that's that. As we are in the garage now, getting ready for Q1 of the session. Of course, we have Jared Fosbury back in the Haas, of course, because we had Roberto Gamba in the Haas during practice. But now we've got Jared in the car. And we are getting set then for the first qualifying session of the day, as we're going to have Rosetta Martinez going out on the track as the monitor just lifts up above our heads. So, guys, whilst you're in the stream chat, leave your prediction on who you think is going to get knocked out in Q1. And so let us know, as we've got some movement already before Martinez, and it's going to be George Roke that's going to be the first to go out on the restart. So again, leave your prediction on who you think the bottom six are going to be. What's your prediction going to be, Jamie?
I'm going to go with two Manners, a Williams, a Racing Point, no Racing Point, Alfa Romeo and a Renault.
Okay, I'm going to go with both Manners. I'm going to go both Williamses as a bit of a risk because I know they did well in practice. A Haas and an Alfa Romeo. They're my predictions. So, give yours, guys, in the stream chat. George saying two Manners, two Williams, a Haas and an Alfa Tauri. Not quite mine. Gamba, both Manners, a Williams, a Racing Point, a Haas, and an Alpha. Okay, interesting predictions. So let's see what's happened.
We're starting early.
So George Roke we're riding on board with, as we've got several other cars going out on the track. Obviously, everybody will be going out, and then we'll have the odd one that gets left behind in the second and potentially third runs if we get there. Because it is quite a lengthy track. It is the Asmarina circuit, 55 laps for tomorrow, where we could crown the first ever Argentine champion, but we will have to wait and see. Down the pit straight then goes George Roke, and well, the support pit straight I should say. It's not the actual pit straight, but it's the support one. As now heading towards the chicane, which will not exist anymore in real life because of the redo they're doing here, but it still exists in the GP4 OC universe. Through the chicane we go. Now into the left-hander we go, using all the curb as possible. Before making your way down towards the triple right-hander before approaching the hotel section. And now there is the third part of that triple right-hand complex. As now approaching the hotel, going underneath the hotel, which if you look at it from a helicopter point of view, it's a very interesting shape, I must add. So into the final two turns we go. Now in towards the final corner. So we'll make our way onto the pit straight, and George Roke is about to start his first flying lap of Q1. As now everybody, as you can see on the left-hand side, is now out on the track, so George should not have any traffic issues on his first flying lap as he makes his way through the very quick turn one. Obviously a medium speed corner, flat out through turn 2, and then flat out through turn 3. Obviously we do sometimes get the rear pit exit glitch, although this season I've noticed as well, unlike the last two seasons, we actually didn't have it. So hopefully that stays like that for the entirety of the season. So for once in a practice session we didn't actually have that rear pit exit glitch, which is something. It's now being down this very... luckily it doesn't happen often. Luckily it doesn't happen often in the race. It's usually in practice and qualifying it sometimes happens, but it didn't happen in practice this time, and hopefully it doesn't happen in quali either. As now Roke makes his way out of that long back straight and through into the left-right chicane. And Laura's saying I might have jinxed it there. Well, I hope I don't. It's that's that. It's now down.
In
Yes.
DTM at the start, first said there was only one collision at a Rouge in the categories, and in the race itself, we ended up having about 3 or 4. So, knowing that, you probably just jinxed it.
Out of the chicane we go. As George did 1 minute 3.313 there in the second sector. Now approaching the triple right-hander. First right. There's a bit of curb on the outside. Second right. Obviously, this section, of course, is where Nico Rosberg and Narain Karthikeyan had their big crash in 2012. So, luckily, we haven't seen that in the OC. Probably because it's probably impossible to do unless you're coming up to a very, not a very smart back marker like Narain Karthikeyan was that day. Then again, was Nico fighting him that day? I'm not sure. Anyway.
He was fighting him, but I think Karthikeyan was actually... he literally started to break down like as soon as Nico was about to pass him. So,
George Rowe, meanwhile, has just done 1 minute 41.086, so he's just set the benchmark of time. Here comes Chris Chatfield in the Haas. Very striking, it must be said, under the floodlights as he went second, but then it became third because Mottram went second, but that becomes third because Chung got to the top. Titkov goes third, Fosbury then goes third. Here comes Miklos Gal across the line. He will go in the Red Bull. And where does he place himself? He goes fastest by 0.04 of a second. Gabriel Gomez across the line goes into 6th. Franco Garber, meanwhile, goes to 4th behind George Rowe. Not the best first lap for Franco Garber as we now look at Felix Sontag, who makes his way down the pit straight. And across the line he will go, and he goes into 9th position. Rosetta Martinez slots to 11th. Here is Franco Lopez. Let's see where the Argentine can go. Across the line goes Lopez. I think he's going to be fastest, in fact, and he will be by 0.5 second. So there you go. On the top of the timing sheets goes Lopez. De Rosa goes into second. A good time from him there. Armar Carr, across the line he goes. The man who's taken pole in the last 3 races goes into third, or I should say 5 poles in the last 6 races, I believe he's taken pole. As Byrne, meanwhile, went to 9th, but it became 10th because Tomaselli, who used a little bit of his slipstream, goes into 7th position. Verderi goes into 11th. As we now look at Jay McKenzie, goes into 9th. Now across the line goes David Kupop, goes into 9th himself. As we now look at Lean Campana, across the line goes the Williams driver. Where does he place himself? He goes 15th. Catalan goes to 12th. Here comes Joseph Willows, and he goes fastest by 0.2 of a second. So the man who won here last season, currently at the top by 0.2 out of Lopez. And the people currently in the drop zone at the moment are Campana, Gomez, Mottrin, Sontag, Chatfield, and Martinez. So not a very good first lap for Roland Mottrin.
Yeah, and there's also like a point on Maxim picked up as well. His teammates lap time kind of shows like he'll take that from, but he's definitely hard ahead of him. He's right on the bubble right now, but I think at the moment he is safe.
At the moment, he is. We've got a yellow flag, actually. We've actually got a yellow into the support pit straight, and it's actually Chris Chatfield. It looks like he's broke down. So what exactly is the problem for Chris Chatfield? In fact, if we look in the cockpit, and in fact, no, it looks like contact maybe, because I did see some debris flying around. It looks like he may have made contact with Laura Chung, as a Valtteri Bottas moment happened from 2019 with Romain Grosjean, I believe it was. Let's have a look. Chung going to the inside of Chatfield, and yeah, it basically is a Valtteri Bottas Romain Grosjean moment. Chung losing her front wing, and Chris Chatfield has damage to the rear of his car. So, bit of drama already. So, Chatfield will have to get into the spare car to continue the rest of the session, because that car ain't going anywhere. So, he'll have to quickly jump into the T car, as Laura Chung will have to get her front wing repaired to go out for a second time. But already, drama here at the first part of qualifying. As now George Roke comes back into the pits. And so, obviously, he currently finds himself in 7th position, and the yellow flags have now been cleared. They've cleared Chris Chatfield's Haas, so no more yellows down in that area.
Which also means he's straight back out there now.
Yeah, but he probably might be out a little bit early. We'll have to see from the Haas garage in a little bit, unless he's going to be the one that's going to stay in the garage for these second runs, because that's normally what we see usually with these. But we will wait and see, as in comes Maxim Titkov. He just pulls into his box. Obviously, we now know that this will be his last season at Manor. Looking like he might be out of a drive, but we'll have to wait and see on that, because of course Amelia Wilson is replacing him for next season, but currently just in the cusp of Q2. But of course drivers could still improve. Obviously Roland Mottrin, as we mentioned, needs to massively improve. Same with Gabriel Gomez as well. Gomez, of course, who we mentioned during practice, a man who is a little bit under pressure at the moment. Same with his teammate Videri, as well as his Kupok as well. This is basically their last chance to try and see if they can get retained for next season. And so it will be very interesting to see. On the case of David Kupok, either get retained or end up at Ferrari. And in Gabriel Gomez's case, either get retained or go to AlphaTauri. So a couple of possibilities there for a couple of drivers, as Rosetta Martinez gets wheeled back into his box. And so that's that. Just getting a drink there. So let's see. Obviously, there's no movement from a Haas going on at the moment, so I wonder if Chatfield's going to be the one that gets left behind in this second run. Chatfield at the moment currently in 21st position, so he's currently in the drop zone at the moment. So he needs to improve at this point in time. Currently on the back row at this point. Titkov getting ready to go out for a second run. So let's see who's going to be out first. Will it be a Haas or will it be someone else? If it's a Haas, and it's probably more likely going to be Chris Chatfield. It is a Haas, and it is Chris Chatfield. So he's going to be out a lot earlier, I think, than what everybody else is doing. So Chatfield jumps into the T car, and he's back out on the racetrack as he goes underneath this very unique pit exit, which people who are fans at Abu Dhabi keep defending this track for because, oh, it's got a crossover pit lane. Who cares? I get it, it's unique, but that's not what makes a good racetrack.
Exit tunnel has a chicane in it, by the way.
As he's actually joined by somebody else, in fact. Roke has just joined him on the track as well, so Roke will be hoping not to get held up by Chris Chatfield, who Chatfield and Roke may be doing some battling next season when Chatfield moves to AlphaTauri next season. Obviously, still a question mark over who Chris's teammate is going to be next season. Will it be David Kupok still? We know it won't be Matteo Catalan because he didn't sign up. Will it be still, as mentioned, will it still be David Kupok? Could it be Rahul Patel, who's linked with that seat? Could it be Ruslan Proxiuk, who's also linked with that seat? Could it be Roberto Gamba, perhaps? Could it be Gabriel Gomez? Could it even be maybe someone like Marek Kukelovic? Who knows? So it'll be interesting. A very long list of candidates for AlphaTauri, and be interesting to see who they go with in Brazil as Chatfield is out on the track. So far, George is not getting held up by Chris at this point in time, as they now get their way towards the chicane. Hello, Maxim. How are you doing? As we look at Chatfield now, then going through this bit, and I think George might be catching him up at this point in time as more cars are starting to fizzle their way out on the track. Through the triple right-hander we go. And Chatfield preparing to start his second flying lap and hoping he doesn't get collided with this time, especially now he's going to have George Roke on the back of him quite soon. I must say, though, the Haas underneath the floodlights with that livery looking very, very nice indeed. I do like that indeed, because usually when we're at day races, it is quite shiny for some reason, but under the floodlights, it works perfectly well. Now we make our way towards turn one. Chatfield now then go through the first turn on the track now then, as Roke looks like he's now getting held up now by his fellow compatriot. Through into the turn 3 section we go, as now they make the way towards the chicane. Now in towards the hairpin we go, as I think Yuri's sorting stuff out on his desktop there, so don't be alarmed if the volume is muted. So down the Oh, okay. So heading down the back straight now then. 700s off his personal best is Chris Chatfield, so that's not good, as Roke is now going to try and find his way through. May have got a little bit of a healthy bit of slipstream from Chatfield there, as Roke just makes his way through there into that chicane, so that's going to compromise Chatfield. And Roke, in fact, down on his personal best in the first sector. Well, I wonder if he's gained a bit of time back from getting the slipstream of Chatfield that time by having a healthy dose of slipstream, as Chatfield trying to get him back, in fact, because of the Ferrari engine that's in the back of the Haas. Now they make their way into the chicane. Let's see what the second sector is like for Roke. He's still half a second off on his personal best. Roke currently in 7th, so I would say so far he's currently safe, but I would expect a lot of drivers perhaps to improve a little bit later on, as we now make our way towards the triple right-hander. As Chatfield, in fact, is up on his personal best in the second sector somehow. In fact, because despite being overtaken by Roke, he's still up on his personal best in the second sector. So I wonder if he made a mistake on his lap then on the first one, and maybe there's more time to be found there for Chatfield had he not been overtaken by Roke. Into the final 2 turns then goes George Roke, And let's see if he can do the impossible and find some time in the last sector. I don't think he will, but Roke is now going to cross the line. And he does not improve. Chatfield, meanwhile, does improve, going up to 19th. So maybe if Roke hadn't overtaken him, maybe he could have improved a little bit more. Here's Maxim Titkov, who's also on an improvement at the moment, in 16th position. And now coming around the final 2 turns, then we'll go the Russian. And the final corner, and onto the pit straight then goes Maxim Titkov. Let's see if he can improve. Across the line goes the Russian, and he goes up into 15th. So a good time there then from Titkov. Obviously... pretty much, it seems like ever since he got the chop, it seems like it's like something lit inside him, and he's basically picked up the pace. As Gao into 3rd position there, improved there. Sontag improved on active as Lopez goes fastest by half a second ahead of Joseph Willows there. So very good time there from Franco Lopez. Here comes David Kupok across the line. He goes in the Toro Rosso, does not improve. Franco Garber improves, but only up into 7th position. Roland Motrin, he needs to improve because he's currently in the drop zone, and he goes up into 13th. That pushes Videri now into the drop zone. Vosbury across the line he goes, does not improve, remains in 12th. Martinez on the improvement. Can he get himself out of the drop zone or even out of last position? And well, he can improve, but he can't get out of last position. Still over 4 seconds off of Lopez. An improvement for Gomez to go up to 12th, and Videri gets out of the drop zone. He goes up into 14th. That pushes Byrne into the drop zone, and speaking of which, we are looking at now, Byrne currently on and improving. He comes across the line, goes up to 10th, so that pushes Catalan into the drop zone. He didn't go and set time there. Carr didn't improve. McKenzie goes 7th at the moment, so an improvement there then for Jay McKenzie. The man who's currently in danger at the moment of losing a drive in 2020, and probably more likely will be out of a drive. Here is Paolino Tomaselli then. Across the line he goes, and he does not improve. He remains in 10th, still in the cusp of the top 10 at this point in time. Lean Campana across the line, no improvement for him either. As Joseph Willows is on improvement, can he get back to the top and find half a second on Franco Lopez, making his way down the pit straight, and across the line comes Joseph Willows, and he improves but remains in 2nd position. 4 tenths still off of Lopez. Joseph Willows, of course, who has been at many times claimed the king of Abu Dhabi, of course, because he is a 4-time race winner of this track. He obviously won 3 races in a row here at one point, as did Jay McKenzie as well, in fact. At one point, Jay McKenzie equaled Joseph Willows' winning record here at Abu Dhabi, but then obviously Willows got the win last season to make it 4 wins. Can he make it 5? Well, I think he kind of needs to, really, if he wants to keep the title fight going to Brazil, as Titkov now then goes into the pits. He's dropped into the drop zone as a result of everybody else improving around him. And as it seems that people are having a bit of a debate about Arsenal Football Club, which is interesting. Interesting stuff going on in the stream chat. But anyway, currently the people in the drop zone right now are Catalan, Titkov, Campana, Sontag, Chatfield, and Martinez. I think some of these guys will get one more lap, but we will see before the session comes to a close, or Q1 comes to a close, I should say. And so that's that. As Titkov now then getting sorted out by his mechanics there.
The one thing I noticed actually with Chatfield is that there was a run in practice where he got overtaken at the start of the 2nd sector and actually still improved on his lap and go back into the top 10. So I think the same thing has happened there again.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, had Roke not overtaken him, how much more time could he have found? Could he have possibly got out of the drop zone? That's the question. I've noted in the last few races as well, it seems that Fosbury seems to be getting a little bit stronger than Chatfield in qualifying. It's just in the races he can't seem to hook it up for whatever reason. Hence why he's lost his drive at Haas. So now we've got George Roke now then coming out onto the racetrack. And unlike last time, he will be out before Chatfield, so there shouldn't be too much of a traffic issue this time for George Roke, but I think he's safe anyway up in 9th position. His teammate, on the other hand, Roland Motrin, he is in the cusp at the moment. He's only down in 16th, so he might need to get out on the track and improve just to make sure that he is into Q2. So, I'm going to pretend nothing happened, Joe. Oh, what happened? I'm a bit confused there. I don't know what you're saying, bro. I'm completely lost with what you're saying there, to be honest with you. Did I say something, or I don't remember what he said. I don't remember what I said, to be honest. As George Roke now then makes his way
with the discussion about Arsenal.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see what Ross says. We'll see. So, as now coming into the chicane now then goes George Roke. And a few other cars coming out on the track. Now, if anybody comes out below the 1 minute 39 mark, then they won't have time to do another lap. Also on the track with Roke, we've got Laura Chung out there at the moment, and that's it at this point. But I am seeing more movement in the pit lane, so we should be seeing more. Yes, we've got Sontag who's just come out onto the track. Will Motrin perhaps get out onto the track as well? And Catalan needs to improve because he's currently in the drop zone. He got knocked out, remember, last time out at USA. He'll be hoping not to make it 2 Q1 knockouts in a row at the moment, as Motrin is out on the track. But will Catalan get out there at the moment with just over 2 minutes left? And okay, yeah, well, he's an Arsenal fan. Yeah, well, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I can take jabs at Arsenal if I want. Tin Pot Club. Moving on. As going around the final corner, as Catalan is actually now on the track, so this is his last chance to try and get his Toro Rosso into Q2. Otherwise, he will be out for the second race in a row in Q1. As Roke has just started his final flying lap of Q1, and so now going into the first corner, into turn 2 and turn 3, and. So on the right hand, and then goes George Roke. George Roke is now making their way towards the bus stop chicane, as he'll soon be approaching the end of the sector. I think I might have accidentally started a bit of an argument between Ro and George there, because George is a Tottenham fan. So now into the hairpin we go.
Are the best football club in England, no discussion. I'm not going to Redbridge fan. I'm a Liverpool and Cardiff fan, but
yeah, as we look. Anyway, away from the football. Let's have a look at oh, he's doing well in the Predictor League, I don't know. But anyway, I'm not even part of it, and I'm even confused. So anyway, George Roke was 2 tenths down on his personal best in the first sector. As now coming out of the chicane we go. As now making your way down towards the support pit straight. As now they will approach the... yeah, you just sent us a gif from the Discord there. As now George makes his way towards the chicane, as he's 1 second down on his on Lopez and 2 tenths down on his personal best. I think George is safe anyway to go through into Q2, but you never know, of course. Obviously for Catalan, he needs to improve, and for Motrin, you also need to improve in case Catalan improves himself, or if anybody in the drop zone improves. So very interesting. We now know that Campana and Chatfield are out. They are not out on track. So Campana and Chatfield are out in Q1. So that's that for them. So Chatfield is going to be on the back row of the grid tomorrow, and he'll be hoping it won't be last place given that Martinez is out on the track. So coming around the final 2 turns then goes George Roke to the final corner, and onto the pit straight he goes. I don't think this is going to be an improvement for George Roke, but let's see. Across the line he will now go. And he does not improve, as Franco Gama just had enough time to do a lap, but it looks like he's going to get held up by George Roke. Can Gomez just do enough to do a lap across the line? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. He just did it before the checkered flag. Byrne didn't, though. Nor did Willows, nor did they, and nor did Martinez. So Martinez is out. So Chatfield will not start in last. He will start in 21st. So here is Laura Chung now then, coming towards the final turn. She is on an improvement, but let's see how much of an improvement it's going to be then for Laura Chung. She now makes her way across the line, and she goes into 3rd position, 8 tenths off of Lopez. As we now look at Sontag, I don't know who that was that we just saw there, but clearly didn't have enough time to do a lap. That was Mackenzie. Sontag, he is up on his personal best, but will it be enough to get himself into Q2?
He was at 2 tenths there in the second sector, just before he cut away from it.
2 tenths. Ooh, that could be possible then, because it's only 2 tenths between Motrin and himself at the moment. If you look, no, in fact, it's a second. So at the moment, he won't be. He's going to have to find a lot of time in the last sector if he wants to get himself into Q2. But coming down the pit straight now, then comes Felix Sontag, and across the line, he will now go, and he improves, but remains in 20th. So Sontag is out. Fosbury, here he comes. Then it looks like he might be going through into Q2, but we will see. Fosbury across the line, he will go. I think he will. And let's see what Fosbury can do. And he does not improve. Remains in 14th. Motrin is on improvement. He needs to improve if he can. Across the line then goes Roland Motrin. And he goes up to 12. So that's safe for Motrin. Titkov, last chance to get into Q2. And he does so. He goes up to 14th. Wow. Very good time there for him indeed. And I think Videri might be out because I don't think he did enough. He'd had enough time to do another lap, so I think Videri might be out. Catalan's not improving, and he's out. He remains down in 18th position. Here comes Mikolas Gal now. Then across the line he goes. What can he do? And he does not improve. Remains in 4th position. Carr goes up to 3rd, so an improvement for him. Here comes Franco Lopez. Remains on a 1 minute 39.5. Here comes Kirishima De Rosa across the line. He will now go. And he does not improve. David Kupak now then, heading down the pit straight. Across the line he will go. No improvement, remains in 13th position. Tomaselli's on improvement, but he's through anyway. Across the line, and he goes up to 4th. A very big improvement, it should be said. Garber's on improvement. Across the line he will go. And he goes up to 4th. So an improvement for him there then. As now we look at Gomez as he makes his way down the pit straight. I think he's going to remain in 15th as he doesn't look like he's improving. And yep, he remains in 15th position. And there you have it. So Videri is out. So I was right. So there you have it then. That is Q1 over. And the bottom 6, as you can see, as we'll have a look in a little bit, in fact, because we're going back to the menu screen. There are your statistics. It's Lopez from Willows in Car. And then your bottom 6 are Andre Videri, Matteo Catalan, Lynn Campana, Felix Sontag, Chris Chatfield, and Rosetta Martinez. So what do you make of that session overall, Jamie?
It was definitely an impressive effort from Maxime to get up to P14. Yeah, it's definitely different from the last time I was commentating over the McLarens in Q1 as well, where they both got knocked out and they ended up finishing 5th and 8th, I think it was there in the end. So, yeah, it's going to make for a very interesting Q2.
Indeed, and I think he might even get a very high score for the qualifying rating. So, because we do have qualifying ratings for the sign-up process, but of course for him it will probably just be for Pride now because of course we now know Amelia Wilson will be driving for Manor. So just sit tight for a while as we get set for Q2, guys. And whilst we're in the waiting, guys, what do you think? Who do you believe will be out in Q2 whilst we wait for the session to get on the way and for Yuri to sort out what he needs to sort out to get Q2 on the way? And whilst you do that, I'm going to photograph up just so that we can up on the Twitter. So let's just try and find the in Nickelback, are you, Yuri? That's one of the lyrics from Photograph. Yep. Yeah. Let's try and not get a copyright. Let's not get copyrighted by Nickelback, eh? There, Jamie. I know I was talking to Jamie because he was singing a bit of Nickelback there. So I remember what. Apparently it does sometimes. Apparently it does, from what I've heard. So I don't know if that's changed ever since. I don't know, but yeah.
That's going to sound so weird for the chat as well. You'll just hear me blurt out. You'll hear me blurt out a line of a Nickelback song without knowing the context.
What's the session from?
This mic is confusing me. I think it's on mute and sometimes saying on mute, but sometimes it is confusing.
I can hear you, Jamie. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Nice one, Rob. As follows. Let's have a look. Catalan, Parna, Sontag, Field, and Martinez. There we go. That's that one sorted there then. For the Twitter. Now we just wait for the next session to get underway. And hopefully it shouldn't take too long as Yuri just sorts out the settings that he needs to do to get Q2 underway. There's a lot more into it, guys, than what you think. Well, a tiny bit more into it than just selecting a few cars. But here we go. We've got the stream up. You should be able to see it very soon, guys. And there you go. You have been able to see it. So without further ado, let's get into Q2. Again, guys, leave your predictions on who you believe will get knocked out in Q2. What are you going to go with, Jamie?
I'm going to go with Maxime, a Racing Point, the Alfa Romeo that's still in the session, Toro Rosso and a Renault.
Okay, I'm going to go with, let's have a look. I think I'm going to go with Gomez, Titkov, a Racing Point, Q Park, Renault, and who have I left behind? In fact, I'll say. That's a very tough one. I'll say as a bit of a risk, a McLaren. Why not? Let's just throw it out there at the deep end as a bit of a gamble. Go with 6 different teams in that one. But anyway, we are here into Q2. As Titkov is going to be the first to go out onto the racetrack. A reminder for people who weren't there in practice, because I know it was announced quite late, this one. The tyres we're using is the hard tyres. I wonder when the soft tyres will get used again. Hopefully in the last race. If not, then there's a bit of a curse with that soft tyre. But anyway.
This track keeps getting funnier.
It does get a bit funny. It's usually been the mediums and hard In fact, the last 10 races now have been mediums and hard, because the last time we used softs, I think, was at Silverstone. So I wonder if we get softs in Brazil or whether it won't get used until next season. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway,
at this rate.
As now coming out of the pit lane goes Maxim Titkov, as he's going to be the first onto the track. He's got a bit of a gap from the cars behind, who are only just making themselves go out on the track. We'll see on the left-hand side who joins him a little bit later on, as he makes his way through the left-hander. And we've got the 2 Francos on track, and both Red Bulls, I should say now, because Gall is now on the track. Fosbury's to come on track, as is De Rosa. Who else is going to join them afterwards? They're all going to be coming out, but just in what order they're going to be coming out in. Still a bit of a break at the moment between De Rosa and whoever the next car is going to be. And if that next car is going to be Gabriel Gomez. There we are. And now they're being joined by Armar Carr, who's just come out of the track. Now Roland Motrin, who's just come out onto the track himself, as has Laura Chung. And then we have David Kupok, who's just come out onto the track. And then Jay McKenzie's just fizzles out onto the track as Titkov just approaches the chicanes over here. And then I think there's been a few more there. Roke's just gone out onto the track. Just seen his name there. And now Willows has just come out. And I think is there one more car to go? Yeah, there's one more car on the mini-map there I can just about see, which I think is just moving now, I believe. Unless that's just the line for the start. I think I can see red where that green line is. I think there's just one more still to come out. But anyway, Titkov is about to start his lap. Making his way through the final 2 corners. Now into the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go. In fact, I'll do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And yeah, there's still a few more I think to come out. Yep, there's some as now coming. Okay, maybe I just counted wrong there. So yeah, all 16 are out on track. Titkov's just started his lap. Going through turn 2. Bit of a wobble there through the curb and a little bit more of a wobble through turn 3 there. So a bit of a mistake for Maxim Titkov. Of course, the mistake rate for qualifying in effect, obviously in this qualifying session, hence why qualifying mistake rate is we are calling it. But here's a replay. You can see just got a little bit loose on the curb there, didn't he, Jamie?
Yeah, that curve does tend to catch you a lot in the F1 game. So not surprised it's caught someone out in the GP4 because there's a lot of differences, but yeah, it shows that kid can be quite dangerous.
Indeed, as my YouTube stream there decided to lag on me. Luckily, not the Discord stream, but there we are. It's not the Discord stream, Yivy, don't worry. As now coming down the straight now, then I think it's just on my end anyway, Yuri, where the little lag happens. For some reason, it's been doing that on my YouTube for some reason. Some lagging on stream, which I don't understand why. But there we are. Problems on my end. So, Titkov now then approaching the chicane. As his first sector, in fact, was a 33.698. And Lopez, as predicted, only 6 attempts up on him that time. So, Titkov didn't really lose too much in the first sector there with that mistake he made in turns 2 and 3. As he now makes his way down the straight before approaching the chicane. As now here is the end of sector 2, which is just after this corner. In fact, a 103.959 is his second sector split. To the left-hander now then goes Titkov, using all the curb on the outside before approaching the triple right-hander. First one, into the second one. And into the third one, as Lopez was just over a second quicker than Titkov there in the second sector. So a good second sector there for Franco Lopez. Lopez looking very quick in this qualifying session, it must be said, and looking to try and wrap up the championship before Brazil. It would be the first time since 2014 that somebody would wrap up the championship before the finale, if that were to happen tomorrow. But we will wait and see. As now Titkov comes down the pit straight, and across the line will go the Russian. Where's he going to play? It's a 1 minute 41.937. Lopez should beat that because he was a second up on him in the second sector. So unless he's made some wild mistake, he should be able to improve. Lopez down the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he goes 1.4 seconds faster. Garber now goes fastest by 0.3 of a second, so Garber goes to the top. Here comes Miklos Gau, and he slots to third, 0.9 off his teammate. In fact, Fosbury goes to third in front of Gau, so Gau must have had a horrible lap, it must be said, for Fosbury to get above him. De Rosa goes into sixth behind Titkov. That's interesting. 2 seconds off is De Rosa. He's behind Titkov. Here goes Gomez coming out of the final corner, and across the line now then will go the Alfa Romeo driver, and he goes 5th position at the moment in front of Titkov. As Khan, meanwhile, goes fastest. Armar Khan goes to the top by 0.05 of a second. Here comes Roland Motrin. Across the line he will go, and he goes into 7th position. Laura Chung goes to 3rd, 1/10 off of Armar Khan. Here comes David Kupok making his way down the pit straight. Across the line now then will go the German, and he goes into 10th. He's behind Titkov as well, so Titkov had a brilliant lap despite that mistake. Maybe more time to find for Titkov. 6th place now then goes Jay McKenzie. Here comes George Roke. Across the line will go the Racing Point, and he goes into 10th position as Byrne and McKenzie went 7th. 5th for Tomaselli. Byrne went 10th. Here comes Joseph Willows. Across the line he will go in the Ferrari. He seems way off of car, and he only goes 10th that time by, so not a very good lap there for Joseph Willows. So at the moment, Car currently at the top by 0.05 of a second ahead of Franco Gamba. But at the moment, Byrne, Motrin, Roke, Titkov, Kupok and De Rosa are in the drop zone. De Rosa with a horrible lap, it must be said. Same with Kupok.
Yeah, they must have been, well, they couldn't have been held up because they weren't around anybody on the track, but yeah, they must have been just over slow. But,
I must say,
picked up to try a little bit there.
Also as well, a very good lap from Fosbury to get up into 6th at the moment. A very good time from him. So could we see him in Q3 perhaps?
Isn't that the question? He's definitely quick in qualifying, like you stated earlier.
Yeah, definitely. But it's only in the races where they just seem to drop off a bit. Unless if your name's Chris Chatfield, because he seems like he's been able to get a bit of the rub of the green when it comes to the race compared to himself and Jared Fosbury. But yeah, that's going to be that. Maybe that could... Whether that will be the same when Dudu Kirby and Daniel Fraser are teammates next season, I bet the pair of them will be hoping that's not the case next season. We'll have to wait and see. But
yeah,
that's that. But anyway, Maxim Titkov, the pits right now, obviously in 14th position, so far having a very good session, it must be said. Basically, driving for pride, it must be said, as we were talking about in the previous session, really, given that we now know that he won't be at Manor next season. So basically, he's just basically sending a message, you could say, with this performance, as he'll be ready to go out for a second lap in just a little bit. 19 viewers so far in the stream. Thank you for that. I think it was at one point on 22 at one point. So usually the views are quite low for qualifying anyway. It's usually in the races when it picks up. So yeah, but still quite high for qualifying. Anyway, as Joseph Weather coming back into pits, no idea what happened to him on his lap to be only 10th. So I wonder if he may be sandbagging a bit, or he just had a bit of an awful lap and we yet to see a bit more pace on his second lap. So
yeah, I think
we'll have to see as we.
Titkov is going to be driving with a please hire me sign above his car.
Yeah, exactly. You said blue flag there, didn't you, Jamie? Just want to check.
No, I didn't say anything about blue flag.
I thought it sounded like you said waving a blue flag on the top of his car, because I was going to say, well, he's already got blue on his car, so kind of matches if it did. So,
yeah.
As we get set for another set of cars to go out onto the track, and we're just under 8 minutes to go in Q2. Will some get one more lap after this? We'll have to wait and see. It's quite a lengthy track, as I pointed out a little bit earlier on in this stream, so it will be interesting to see. No movement at the moment. Titkov's still in his garage at the moment because he was first to go out, but I do see some movement from his mechanic, so it looks like he will be going out be first to go out, or will somebody beat him to the punch? Let's have a look. Somebody beats him to the punch. It is Kirishima DeRosa, who desperately needs to improve. In fact, down in 16th, 2.1 seconds off of Armar car. So DeRosa needs to find a lot of time somewhere if he wants to get his car into Q3 with his teammate Thomas Elliott at the moment, currently up in 5th position. So it's neither of those things adverb. I think you were in the stream last season, and I think you asked that question. Unless I'm thinking of someone else. This is not the finale, okay? Back in 2009, we had a vote which swapped Abu Dhabi and Brazil around, mainly because Abu Dhabi is not a popular finale destination, but Brazil is. So that's why I've done it. Although next season will be the last time that Brazil will have the rights to that, of course, because from the fantasy era onwards, there could be a different race that could be the last race. That doesn't necessarily mean Brazil will never ever be the final race again. It just opens up the opportunity for someone else to host the finale. But no, this is not the finale, and the championship hasn't been decided yet. The championship could be decided tomorrow, as Franco Lopez has a 34-point lead ahead of both Willows and Gal, who are tied for second. So Lopez has a good chance of winning it tomorrow, depending on where he finishes, of course. So that's that. So as we now look at Kirishima DeRosa, who makes his way through the chicane, he desperately needs to improve, as mentioned, if he wants to get into Q3. A lot of cars making their way out on the track. Cars just come out on the track. Only Chung, Willows, and Byrne yet to come out, but Chung has just come out as I was just saying that. So Willows and Byrne still yet to come out. Willows does need to improve quite a lot, in fact, because somebody could knock him down into the drop zone, and that would not be good for him if he wants to save his championship chances going into Brazil, because of course this is his last chance to be world champion with Ferrari. Of course, the target that he set out back in 2011. Of course, he's moving back to McLaren next season, and if he doesn't win the title, he would have failed the objective that he set himself back in 2011. So DeRosa now then starts his lap. Willows, his future teammate, I should say, comes around the first corner. He uses quite a lot of curb on the exit. Flat through turn 2, no mistake, unlike with Titkov on the first lap that we saw a little bit earlier on, with just over 5 minutes to go. As now in towards the bus stop chicane will go DeRosa, because the newer version of Abu Dhabi is not available yet for Grand Prix 4, mainly because we haven't had a race there yet. As now through into the hairpin goes DeRosa, as he'll be approaching the end of the first sector very, very soon. And let's see what it's like compared to his personal best. Just keep an eye on the def panel on the top right. And he's only 300s up on his personal best in the first sector. So he needs to find a lot of time in the middle sector. But he should be able to, because unless he makes a mistake. Because, of course, we saw with Lopez on the previous lap, he was only 6/10 up on Titkov in the first sector and then gained a lot of time in the middle sector. So DeRosa should in theory be able to, but we'll have to wait and see. As now DeRosa makes his way down the support pit straight before approaching the end of sector 2, which is just after this left-hander that we're coming up to. Heading towards the chicane, let's see what his middle sector is like compared to his personal best. And he's 2/10 up at this stage, but that's still not going to be enough to get him into Q3 at the moment. He needs to find a hell of a lot of time in the last sector if he wants to get into Q3 through the triple right-hander. We don't know if these are going to be the last laps as well, because there's only 4 minutes left. We don't know whether if anybody can squeeze one more lap in. I don't think they will, to be honest. So I think this will be the last laps that we're going to see. DeRosa now then, coming out of the hotel section as he makes his way towards the final 2 corners. Flicking it in as he now makes his way into the final corner. And now onto the pit straight will go the Polish driver. Across the line goes Kirishima DeRosa. What can he do? And he goes up to 9th. He found a lot of time in the last sector. Very good time from DeRosa. It pushes Willows into the drop zone as the Mercedes and Garma there did not improve on their lap. Here comes Titkov, who's improving at the moment, but lost time in the last sector. George Rote now then on an improvement, currently in the drop zone, needs to try and get into Q3 if he can. Into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then will go George Rote. Can he get into the top 10? Across the line goes the British driver and he goes up to 5th. A very big improvement there. Pushes Gomez now into the drop zone. Here comes Tomaselli. Across the line he will go in the McLaren. And he does not improve. Gal, meanwhile, doesn't improve, remains in 9th. He could be in a bit of trouble as well, could Gal. Motrin could be out here. He's only 14th there. I think he might be out of it, could Roland Motrin. Here comes Jay McKenzie across the line, and he remains in 8th position. Here comes Jared Fosbury. Across the line, remains in 7th. Q-Pot across the line, does not improve, remains in 16th. And nor did Gomez improve, so those two could be out as well. Carr, meanwhile, goes fastest by 6/10 of a second, a 1:39.4. That was quicker than Lopez's Q1 time there. As Chung, meanwhile, didn't improve, remained in 3rd position. Here is Evan Byrne, who is currently in the drop zone, I believe. Yes, he's currently 13th, so he needs to improve. Out of the corner now, then we go as we now make our way towards the final 2 corners. So into the final corner then comes Evan Byrne as he makes his way onto the pit straight. And this is going to be an improvement, but will it be enough to get him into the top 10 across the line? And no, it doesn't. It looks like Byrne is out. He's only 11th with that lap. Here comes Joseph Willows. He's down on his personal best. This is not good. And Willows finds time in the last sector somehow to go up into 5th position. So that was a very lucky escape for Willows, but that pushes De Rosa down into the drop zone, and I think De Rosa might be out as a result. So Willows somehow found a lot of time in the last sector to just get himself into Q3, and Gal may be just lucky there because he's only in 10th position. So, yeah, so very lucky there for both Willows and Gal. But yeah, it is going to be over. The bottom 6 are out because look how much time we've got left. Not enough time for a 3rd lap. So the bottom 6 are officially out. So Gal and Willows with a very lucky escape, you'd have to say, Jamie.
Yeah, I had a feeling McLarens are going to gain a lot of time in sector 3 because, of course, their car is more draggy, it's more suited to the corners. So I had a feeling that would happen, and it did initially work for De Rosa, but yeah, he got knocked out right at the end, so it doesn't really matter now.
Yeah, and they're very lucky for Willows because if he had got knocked out there, same goes with Gal there, that could have been a great news for Lopez. It could have been Christmas come early there for Lopez because that would give him a very good advantage to win the title tomorrow. So, very lucky for the pair of them indeed. But the bottom 6, as you can see, are out. They are De Rosa, Byrne, Gomez, Motrin, Titkarv, and Kupov. We'll obviously remind you of that when we get onto the menu screen a little bit later as we wait for somebody to come back into the pits. I believe it will obviously be Willows, I think, who are just coming around the hotel section, and of course Byrne. So the seconds will tick down, and that will be that as the seconds tick down here for the end of Q2, which is car topping the session. Could he be looking for a 4th consecutive pole position? We will have to wait and see. We've seen that Carr has been very strong in qualifying in second half of the season, but can't seem to turn it around in the races. Only 2 wins for Carr this season, and of course will not win the championship this season. He was officially out of it last time out in USA because of that crash with Willows, although I do think he would have still been out of it anyway, judging from where Lopez was on the track, even without that crash. So that's that as Willows makes his way back into the pit box as the seconds tick by. 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Checkered flag. Obviously, the session is over. And now we go onto the menu screen. So the top 3, as mentioned, are Amar Khan, Franco Gamba, and Laura Chung. And your bottom 6, just to remind you, are Kirishima De Rosa, Evan Byrne, Gabriel Gomez, Roland Motrin, Maxim Titkarv, and David Kupok. So we will just wait a bit now for Q3 to get underway. And leave your prediction on who's going to get pole position in the meantime, guys, and what the rest of the top 10 is going to be. But what did you make of that session overall, Jamie? I don't think I asked you that question, did I?
Yeah, as Maxim actually pointed out in the YouTube chat, there was only 1,000 actually separating. I think it was Byrne and Moichin, I think it was. I mean, whoever qualified in 13th there.
Very close. Yeah, very close.
No, De Rosa, it was 11 as well. My mistake. So it was De Rosa and Byrne were 1,000 for the second there. So it's definitely close between a lot of cars. And despite your close escape there, you still remained within about 2/10 of Lopez, so it ain't quite over just yet.
No, definitely not. But I think it's safe to say that I think Mercedes are probably going to be the favourites to take pole position. But you never know, of course. Franco Gamba, the Red Bulls might throw a bit of a surprise. The Ferraris have not been there yet, but we know that he usually hang back until Q3 to let open the taps, as it were. So we'll have to wait and see if that becomes a thing. But again, guys, leave your predictions on who you think will take pole position for tomorrow's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Could we be looking at another Amar Khan pole position, or do you think somebody else will take pole position? We will have to wait and see, of course, as we wait for Yuri to sort out the settings he needs for Q3. And whilst he's doing that, I obviously need to sort out the tweet that I need to do for Twitter, and only just caught Car there. So let me just sort that one out whilst we wait for Q3 to get underway. So yeah, just give me a moment, guys. I might go a bit silent. Hopefully not too silent whilst I sort this out. I normally stuck to myself anyway when I do this. So oh my car stops the session. We've got the stream back up whilst I'm still tweeting. So there we go. It's back up on our screens, and so might as well go onto the loading screen. Hopefully, I should finish that before we get into the session. It's just to kill the time rather than you guys waiting for me. So just give a moment, guys, and I'll be with you in just a little bit. I should hopefully finish this before before Q3 gets underway or before the first car comes out. In Q2, where of course De Rosa and Gomez, Motrin, and then it was Titkov and Kupok. There we go. Tweet sent, and I think I did just in the nick of time. And yes, I did. There we go. So in the garages now, and just looking at the stream chat to see what your predictions are. Somebody said Franco Garma for pole. I think it was Zachary Fitzwater who said that. So I'm not laughing because it's impossible. See, I was just laughing mainly because of what Franco replied there. So George says Gal pole. I thought you normally jinx him when you say that, George. And then Franco said Joe Pole, Ross said Laura Pole. So interesting. I don't think anybody said a Mercedes there, which is very odd. So anyway, we've got some track activity now in the form of Jared Fosbury, who did get his Haas through into Q3. A very good session for him indeed. And like with Maxim Titkov, you could say he's probably driving for pride, as it were. So that's that. Is now Fosbury now then just makes his way out of the pit lane. And so now out on the track he goes, and I think he's got somebody behind him as well, hasn't there? There's somebody else coming out on the track at the same time as him. So, and it's Joseph Willows, in fact. So Willows will be hoping he doesn't get held up by Jared Fosbury, and in fact both of them have a Ferrari engine in the back. So in real life, you would expect maybe Mattia Bonotto to go to Gunjar Stein and say, tell your driver to get out the way because of the Ferrari engine. But this is Grand Prix 4, that doesn't happen like that. So you have to do it the hard way, I guess. Will Joseph Willows. There's more cars coming out now. Armar Car third out on the track.
Work like that for teammates either.
Yeah, I mean, at one point Fosbury was the Ferrari test driver, so I think Willows knows Fosbury quite well. So other cars have fizzled out together at the same time, so there could be a lot of hold-ups on the first lap, and it looks like with the last session, we could be just looking at 2 flying laps just due to how long the track is. Because I know that, because I know somebody mentioned it, one of the straights on this track is actually a little bit longer than what it is in real life, hence why the lap times are always a bit slower than what they are in real life. I don't know how they got that one wrong, but it is what it is. So it's not like it's going to bother us with the lap counter. So
if anything,
that's
that. Miss some more overtaking opportunities.
True. Complaining about that one bit. So it helps with the overtaking. I'm all for it. So coming out of the hotel section, there goes Jared Fosbury as he'll now make his way towards the final 2 turns, and now up towards the final corner, and he will start his first flying lap. Now, one thing I know I was probably supposed to say in the practice room, but I kind of forgot. I think a lot of people may not realise this, but it's now been exactly a season since we started doing this commentary for practice and qualifying. It was at this specific track where we started to trial it. You may remember, me and Will Neller, and it proved so popular in Abu Dhabi and Brazil, we decided to do it for a full season, and it's worked out pretty well. So yeah, it's kind of an anniversary of this sort of commentary happening during practice and qualifying. So I guess a pat on the back on that one. As meantime now then, Fosbury and Willows are on their lap. I don't know if Willows is getting held up by Fosbury at all, and I think Willows might be lining up Fosbury for a pass down this back straight in a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. He might get a healthy dose of slipstream, but I don't know how much time he's lost currently being stuck behind Fosbury as they approach the end of Sector 1. A 34.154, and Willows is getting held up because he's slower than Fosbury in the first sector. As Willows is going on the inside now of Fosbury. You could just about see it in the mirror of Fosbury, and through goes Joseph Willows, but I don't think that's going to help his lap time out at all during this. He's going to have to do another flying lap if he wants to get a better grid position, unless he finds some time in these last 2 sectors as we now ride on board.
Willows.
And let's see what his second sector is like. 104.114. Yeah, that's not going to be a good time from Willows. That he's going to have to do another flying lap if he wants to get higher up the grid, and otherwise it will be smiles on Franco Lopez's face, that's for sure. Unless Miklos Gal qualifies a lot higher than him in the qualifying, then it won't be smiles. But into the hotel section then goes Joseph Willows. As he goes underneath the hotel through the left-hander, pulling a bit of a gap now between himself and Jared Fosbury, although I don't think Willows is going to be at least a bit impressed with Fosbury getting in the way there. As now Willows up towards the final corner he goes in his penultimate race for Ferrari. Getting down the pit straight and across the line goes Joseph Willows. And what is the lap time going to be? It's not going to be that good because he got held up. It's a 141.851. Fosbury 1.6 seconds slower. So Willows found some time on Fosbury in the end there, but still not ideal for Willows. He'll need to do another lap. Here comes Amar Khan now then, coming around the final 2 turns. The man who's taken pole position in the last 3 races. Can he make it 4 in a row? That is the question. Out of the final turn and onto the pit straight.
In the top left, on the graphic on the leaderboard, it actually showed that Franco Gamba was actually up in the first sector on everybody else. But the cars just
interesting. Meanwhile, Carr 140.7, he goes fastest. Chung goes into second, 3 tenths down on Carr there. Here comes Mackenzie across the line, slots to third. Roke meanwhile goes to third, gets in front of Mackenzie. Here comes Paolino Tomaselli, across the line he will go, and he goes only 6th. Not a good time for him there. Gal only 6th as well. Looked like Gal got held up there by Paolino Tomaselli. As we now look at Franco Lopez making his way around the final corner onto the pit straight now. Then will go Lopez. Can he go quicker than his teammate Carr? Across the line then goes the championship leader. Can he go faster than Carr? And no, he can't. He goes second, but it comes third because Garma's gone fastest. A 1 minute 40.2. That it obviously not the quickest we've seen, but he used a bit of slipstream there from Lopez. Gamba goes fastest at the moment by half a second ahead of Amar Khan. Whether it will stay like that though, we'll have to wait and see, because we do have the second flying lap and there was a lot of hold-ups on that time. But at the moment, good start for Franco Gamba, Jamie.
Yep, exactly like I said. I noticed it on the leaderboard when I think we was on your lap, and yeah, he kept pace throughout the lap, and he's on pole when he said that it might never happen. So great news for Franco.
Indeed, as they'll all now come back into the pits and prepare for what we believe is going to be one more flying lap, just due to how long the track is going to be. So Willows needs to ensure that he doesn't get any traffic this time by if he wants to get a little bit higher than 7th. And Gal needs to hope there's no traffic on his lap either, because as we saw there, he got held up by Paolino Tomaselli, and it looked like the pair of them were holding each other up because Tomaselli didn't get a good time either. So they all make their way back into the pit lane, and and that Willows was the first to come back into the pits. I think he might be the first to do a lap next time by, but we will see. That could all change, of course, as Fosbury just peels into his pit box there, as we wait for potentially the final runs to happen very, very soon. But at the moment, it's Garma from Carr, Lopez, Chung, Roke, Mackenzie, Willows, Gal, Tomaselli, and Fosbury. So as Fosbury gets his car wheeled back into the pit lane, and we wait for the next run to happen. And so Lopez and Garma still out on the track, but they're just coming up towards the pit lane now, so that shouldn't be an issue whatsoever as Roke pulls into his box, currently in 5th position. Currently a good time, but as mentioned, he could be dropping down because Willows and Gal we expect possibly to improve, providing they don't get any traffic on their lap. Maybe Tomaselli as well could beat Roke. We'll have to wait and see. We don't know what sort of pace he was carrying before he came across Miklos Gal. Obviously, those two had a battle for third last time out at Abu Dhabi. Paolino, of course, getting his second ever podium. Let's not forget, after a little bump and run with Gal at the hairpin towards the closing stages of that US Grand Prix. Just under 8 minutes to go now then in this session. And So that's that as we wait for cars to go back out onto the racetrack. And I wonder if it will be Joseph Willows that comes out first. It looks like no, I think that's just them. It will be Willows, in fact, I think, because the mechanics are getting ready for him, unless Fosbury gets out in front of him again. As Willows, let's see, is anybody going to join him? And the answer is no. Oh, he's going to be ahead of Fosbury, so Willows should be able to get a clean lap this time and try and get a little bit higher on the grid now. Then, so he's going to come out onto the racetrack. He will soon flick off the pit limiter. Fosbury comes out behind him, but luckily for Willows, he shouldn't get held up by Fosbury, unless by some miracle Fosbury catches him up and passes him on the track. Then that will make Joseph even more furious. So on the track then he goes, as he starts what could potentially be the final flying lap of qualifying, because of just, as mentioned, how long the track is. As now into the chicane then goes Joseph Willows through the left, then into the right, as he'll now make his way towards the hairpin, flicking the car in through this left-hander. He'll now make his way down the not the support pit straight, the back straight, as Willows and Fosbury, the only two guys at the moment out on the racetrack. Everybody else will be coming out in just a little bit. For some of those guys, they'll be hoping they don't get traffic on their second flying lap, especially Gal, who'll be hoping not to get held up by Tomaselli, and vice versa with Tomaselli as well. Out of the chicane goes Willows, making his way down the support pit straight, as he'll now make his way towards the chicane. As now approaching the chicane then will go Joseph Willows, flicking it in through the left-hander, and into the right-hander he goes, then into the left before using all the curb on the outside before approaching the other 90-degree left-hander. So many 90-degree corners around this track. As now into the triple right-hander goes Willows, as more cars start to come out on the track. Garber, McKenzie and Gal still yet to come out, and Willows will be hoping not to encounter either of them as he's approaching the pit straight very, very soon, as he just goes under the hotel section, using all the curve on the outside, because track limits don't get imposed on Grand Prix 4, because that's the line that the AI like to take. To the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Joseph Willows, as Franco Garber still not out on the track yet, and now he's come out on the track. So luckily for Willows, he won't encounter any traffic as he's just started his lap. Through the first corner he goes, using the curb on the outside, flat out through turn 2, then flat through turn 3, this long swooping right-hander. Very good camera angle for this corner, I must be said, on this game. Into the bus stop chicane, the left, then into the right, and then into the hairpin we go in front of the crowd that is sitting there. Obviously, the reason why this chicane was there in the first place was because the amount of runoff, but hopefully the new hairpin that they're building will address that. It should do, because it should have a lot of runoff. Let's see what his first sector is like. He's 2 tenths down on Garbo and 1 second up on his personal best, as expected, because, of course, let's not forget, he was held up by Fosbury on his first lap as he now makes his way towards the chicane, flicking it in through the left, then into the right-hander will go Willows before approaching the support pit straight. Down the straight we go. I must say the red on the Ferrari looks very good in the night time as well, like the black on the Haas. Making his way towards the end of sector 2. Let's see what Joseph's second sector is like compared to his personal best, and he is 9 tenths up on his personal best and still 2 tenths down on Garber. He actually gained a little bit on Garber in the second sector. Whether he's able to gain 2 tenths in the last sector, I'm not sure. As you mentioned, obviously earlier on in Q2 as well, Willows did gain a lot of time in the last sector, so it's not out of the ordinary. Same with the McLarens as well. Willows now then coming around the left-hander now then. He makes his way towards. Indeed, as now into the final 2 corners then goes Joseph Willows. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes the 2-time world champion. Where is Willows going to place himself? Across the line goes the Ferrari driver, and he goes up to 3rd. He gets in front of his rival Lopez. So Willows goes up into 3rd position there. Fosbury, across the line he goes. He's on improving. He goes up to 8th. A good time for him there. I don't know if Gal and Tomaselli will improve those. We now look at Chung. Her second sector, she's 900ths off of Garber in the second sector. She can still pull that back in the last sector. Very, very close between Chung and Garber in the sectors there. Up on her personal best now then. As also his car as well. He's 13 thousandths off of Garber in the second sector. Very, very close. These two can still pull back time in the last sector as they now go through the hotel section. Through the left-hander goes Chung now then, as she uses all the curb on the outside. Can she get above Franco Gamba on this last sector? Round the second to last corner. Into the final corner now then comes Laura Chung as she makes her way onto the pit straight. Can she get pole off of Gamba? Across the line goes the Ferrari driver. And no, she can't. She only goes second that time by. What about Carr? Can he nab pole off of Gamba? Yes, he can. By 0.2 of a second. Roke doesn't improve. Tomaselli is on improving. Across the line, he will go. He goes into 8th. Here comes Franco Lopez. Can he improve? He can, but only up to 4th. He gets back in front of rival Willows, though. Gal is on improvement. Round the final turn he goes. He's finally got clear air. Gal is going to come across the line. Where can Miklos Gal place himself? He goes only 7th behind George Roke. Here comes Jay McKenzie. He's on improvement. What can the Renault driver do? Across the line he will go. And he goes 4th. A good time for McKenzie. He gets in front of Lopez. That is a very good time. Jay McKenzie. Is Franco Gamba across the line? Can he find some time in the last sector? No, he remains in second place, and I think that is qualifying done. So for the 4th race in a row, it is Amar Khan who is on pole position for tomorrow's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The pole king in the second half of the season has done it again.
Yeah, he's definitely proving that he is the master of qualifying at the moment. Very impressive effort.
Indeed, another pole position for Amar Khan, 4 in a row for Amar. But can he this time perhaps convert it into the win tomorrow? That is going to be the question. And he's got Gamba behind him in second. And that is, in fact, quite ironically, the same front row from the last race in USA. They shared the front row last time out, and they're sharing the front row again. So very interesting there indeed. Will Gamba do the same as what he did last time out and get the jump on Cal at the start? We'll have to wait and see. As we wait for the cars to go back into the pit lane and wait for... Are we going to wait for the timer to go down, or are we going to have a look at the pole lap straight away? We're going to have a wait and see, because I don't... Then again, I know how Grand Prix 4 works anyway, because if you've got a player car selected, it doesn't go straight back to the main menu until you tell it to. So we're going to now have a look at Amar Khan's pole lap, so we're going to remain silent and enjoy Amar Khan's pole lap here at the Yas Marina circuit. That is how Amar Khan got pole position for tomorrow's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and that was even with a bit of traffic at the beginning of his lap as well, getting held up there by George Rope, but it didn't affect him because he was able to gain it back in the last 2 sectors. A very impressive lap from Amar Khan. Can he this time, though, convert pole into the win? Or will Franco Gamba do what he did at USA and get the jump on him at the start? All will be revealed obviously tomorrow. But a reminder then, the top 10. Amar Khan on pole position from Franco Gamba in second, Laura Chung in third, Jay McKenzie, a very impressive fourth, probably fighting for pride, but we will see. Franco Lopez in fifth, Joseph Willows sixth, George Roke seventh, Miklos Gao a disappointing eighth, with Paulino Tomaselli in ninth, and Jared Fosbury completes the top 10. So what did you make of that session overall, Jamie?
Yeah, I thought Franco had it at first, but it's not meant to be. But second on the grid is still good. There's always the chance he could take the lead going into turn one, and of course with other events in the race as well. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So yeah.
It will be interesting to see whether Franco Lopez will take the championship tomorrow. Will he? We'll have to find out tomorrow. Of course, we're not commentating tomorrow, of course, because we let George do the commentary for the highlights. But don't forget, this isn't the end for live streams tonight, because tonight we obviously have the GP2 finale at 7 p.m. BST, which sees Dudu Kirby and Thomas Anderson fight for the title. But it also sees Max Skillen on pole position. Can he take a victory to end what has been a shaky season for the Scotsman? We will have to wait and see at 7. But until then, guys, that has been it. Hope you enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Jamie Griffiths. And we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 55-lap Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where Franco Lopez will hope to win the championship. Will he win it tomorrow, or will it go down to the finale? See you tomorrow.
Bye.